Okay, so you know how you scare yourself sometimes? You get a wild hair, like you've read a lot from Robert Kiyosaki and people that buy houses and flip them, or buy houses and turn them into a rental property. You haven't really even purchased your own house to live in. You haven't been through the home buying process. There's a ton of preparation. But the one thing I really wanted to talk about today was foreclosure. So you're a first-time buyer. Maybe you own the house you live in and you've been studying up on investing, but you're not sophisticated. You never really purchased an investment property. You don't know a darn thing about being a landlord or even flipping houses. Boy, that takes some timing in the market, right? Because you could end up losing your pants if you don't know how to finance a flip, okay? 2023, California, not a time to flip homes. I will tell you that right now. But you're kind of poking your nose into the world of foreclosures, and you're kind of a rookie, and you're kind of getting yourself excited about it because you've been reading and learning, which is cool and good. Thank God you're reading and learning. A lot of people I talk to about this stuff, I don't know how they learned about it, but they're not sophisticated in the sense that they don't know how to protect themselves and to really get it right in the end and have a complete plan for what they're going to do, let's just say, with a foreclosure, which is what I'm talking about in this video, okay? So, first of all, a foreclosed house has gone on a long journey before it got to the bank. A person lived in that house for a year or two or three. Life was good. Then all of a sudden it wasn't so good, and they started missing mortgage payments. And for 5 months, 6 months, 7 months, they've been getting messages from the bank. They're behind, they're stressing out. Life is not good. Eventually, the bank took their house from them. They've moved on. Now, a lot of people recover from foreclosures. We're not going to get into that. That's like a whole other video. All right. It is 2023. It's March 23. And I do believe that the next 5 or 6 years, there's going to be a few more foreclosures. The economy has tanked a little bit. It takes a decade, a long time for things to change. Be careful who you vote for, because it's going to matter. So for those of you that are ambitious and you want to check out the foreclosure world, there's just some advice and some insight that I'd like to lend you in this video so that you don't end up in a foreclosure one day yourself or penniless, because you just shouldn't. Okay, you should think ahead and plan ahead. When a house is in foreclosure, the bank owns this baby. Okay, the bank owns the house. They hate houses. Banks make money by giving you $500,000 and you pay it back over 30 years plus a little more, called interest rate. That's how they make money. That's what banks do. They don't own homes. So they're more than happy to give away this house. But they haven't been getting interest on that loan for maybe a year or two by the time the word foreclosure is used out in public, where an investor like you can consider buying it. That bank has been losing its shorts. Okay, it's a lost cause. Now, you have to figure out how to buy a foreclosure as a layperson, a guy who wants to buy his first house. Now, there's ways to do it. There's bank services and websites you can get on where you can see the foreclosures in your county. This gets complicated. I don't think I'm going to get complicated because I usually keep most of my videos kind of on the surface, because who wants to listen to this in video form? But this bank wants to get rid of it, and it's a $700,000 house that you're making an offer for $599. That bank is gonna squirm to sell that house for you for $599. But depending on the bank, depending on the market, depending on how long it's been sitting on the shelf, let's just say, that bank might consider unloading that house to you for $599. It's going to take a long time. Foreclosures take months, maybe a year to get through the process that the bank goes through before you can actually get keys to the front door. I know you maybe know this. Let's harken back to 2018 when this just happened, like by the millions. Okay. People just took the dog and the RV and they just left the house at midnight. Sometimes they trashed the house, screwed it up so bad. Okay. And this happened a lot, actually. The house is in quite disrepair. So anybody that goes in to buy a house like that knows they're going to have to spend some money. And so it becomes a flip and a foreclosure. They happen at the same time a lot of times because the houses just aren't in good shape. What if they left it in decent shape, but it's been a year since it's been lived in? I guarantee it's depreciating. It's got stuff. Okay. Banks don't send out landscapers and roof people and to fix the leak. Sometimes they do. But the place has been sitting around. So you might be getting a house for a deal, maybe, if you can get through the bank process. And every realtor would like to have 25 of y'all buying foreclosures. Okay. But it's a process. It's almost a specialty to convince the bank to sell the house to you for a lot less than it's worth. In fact, there's more money owed on that house than it's worth a lot of times. That's what happened all the way for 5 or 7 years after 2008. Houses were hundreds of $1,000s less than what they bought it for. That happens all the time, and the market's going down right now. Okay. So it's an uphill climb to get a foreclosure. Some people are more sophisticated than others. They've been through it and they kind of know how to make it happen. The realtors are more savvy and sophisticated who've done 5 or 7 or 10 of these or more. They're starting to come back. They're starting to be a part of conversation again. Very slowly. It's not going to happen tomorrow. I don't even think it'll happen by next summer, but we're kind of sort of starting to talk about it. All right. But I want you to know, as a first-time buyer, you've got to be savvy. You're not always allowed to inspect the house before you buy it. All that stuff you do to a normal house, you might not be able to go through and do inspections. It depends. It depends. It depends. It depends on the bank, and it depends on other factors. Okay. Do you have to buy it sight unseen, kind of like when you go to the front steps of a courthouse at an auction? It can be close to that. All right. So I just want you to think about investing in a foreclosure because it's a big financial challenge. You can't get a loan for it, so you probably have to pay cash. Oh, you do have to pay cash. All right. It's hard to finance a foreclosure. There may be ways to rejigger the loan on that and make it happen depending on the condition of the home, but it's quite a process to go through and a lot to think about. So when you're thinking about a foreclosure, you want to understand the pitfalls. You want to understand the whole picture of the house. And I would say you'd want to gather up a little bit of cash from 17 family members to go buy this. And you want to have a little bit of a budget over here, a little bit of money in the bank, because you're probably going to have to fix up that house a lot in order to sell it. And you want to make sure you understand the market and the interest rates, which are high now. Not a good time to finance, okay, in order to buy homes, especially in California. As much as I'd love 25 investors up my sleeve, it's kind of tough in Sonoma County and elsewhere, unless you want to use bank homes as your bank, meaning you want to pay cash and have it sit there, which is not really a savvy way to invest. So you usually want to use OPM, right? Other people's money. So you have interest and you have write-offs and all kinds of other things that really is financing and more sophisticated. So that's kind of my message in this video is if you're pondering foreclosures, you've been reading and learning and you're excited about being a sophisticated investor, get more sophisticated. Learn them, understand them, and maybe work with a partner or somebody who's done them before, a sophisticated realtor who can get you through the process. There's a lot to do. There's a lot to think about. It's a long, boring process. That poor home's been sitting on the bank shelf for a long time, and you're going to try to convince them to buy the house for less than what was owed. Whew. They didn't like it in 2008, but eventually when there were thousands and hundreds of thousands of them across the United States, they just did it because what else were they going to do? So it's going to be a slow roll here. It's going to happen eventually to some people who will lose their jobs or life will change in some way and they will not make their mortgage payments and a bank will own it. maybe it's an opportunity for you. Maybe it's not. I just don't want you to get in trouble. And I thought I'd kind of explain some of the unknowns and some of the details involved. The next video is coming up right there. So what do you think? Give me a like and hit that subscribe button because a new video comes out every single Friday.